The rain poured harder that night, each drop echoing against the glass walls of Ethan Hale's office like the ticking of a clock running out of time. He stood tall, flawless in his tailored suit, staring down at Maya with eyes that had once held warmth but now carried only distance. She had come with trembling hands, holding an envelope, her resignation, but inside it was also her confession. She loved him. She believed in him when no one else did. For a moment silence stretched like a wire between them. Then he spoke, calm, sharp, final. "I never loved you." The words sliced through her heart, leaving a void she couldn't fill. Maya blinked, holding back tears as the city lights outside blurred into streaks of gold. She wanted to scream, to ask why, but pride kept her silent. She simply nodded, turned away, and walked out into the storm. Behind her, Ethan didn't move, his reflection cold against the window. But as the elevator doors closed, something inside him cracked. A soundless fracture he refused to face. Outside, Maya whispered to herself, "You'll remember me." The wind carried her promise away, but destiny had already heard. 3 years had passed, but the echo of that night still haunted Ethan Hale. The world saw him as a symbol of power and success, the millionaire CEO who had everything. But when the cameras stopped flashing and the meetings ended, silence became his only companion. His penthouse overlooked the same city lights that once reflected in Maya's eyes, and every night he caught himself searching for her face in the crowd below. He told himself she had probably moved on, but something inside him refused to believe it. One stormy evening, while scrolling through a business article, his breath caught. A photo appeared. A woman standing on a small stage, accepting an award for her charity that helped single mothers rebuild their lives. Her name glowed beneath the picture, Maya Carter. For a moment, time froze. She looked different, stronger, radiant, untouchable. Ethan's hand trembled as he zoomed in, noticing the same calm eyes that once believed in him. A strange ache rose in his chest, pride mixed with regret. He realized she hadn't just survived, she had risen. And for the first time in years, he felt small in his own empire. Something told him his story with her wasn't over yet. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, her face appeared, calm, confident, glowing with purpose. He remembered how she once used to light up his darkest days, how she laughed easily, believed in him when the world doubted him. Now she was the one inspiring others, while he sat surrounded by gold and glass, feeling emptier than ever. Restless, he found himself searching for more about her. Articles, interviews, photos. Each headline spoke of her kindness and strength. One photo stopped him cold. Maya stood surrounded by 3 little boys, identical smiles shining up at her. The caption read, "Maya Carter with her triplet sons, symbols of hope and resilience." Ethan's pulse raced. Triplets? Something twisted inside his chest as he looked at the photo closer. The boys had his eyes, those same gray-blue eyes that mirrored every emotion he'd buried. His breath hitched as realization crept in. Could it be? Doubt battled with disbelief, but deep down he knew. He hadn't just lost a woman. He had lost a family he never knew existed. The weight of his choices pressed harder than ever. For the first time in years, Ethan whispered her name aloud, and the silence that followed felt like punishment. The next morning, Ethan couldn't focus. Every sound, every face around him blurred into nothing as the image of those 3 little boys haunted his mind. He had meetings scheduled, investors waiting, but his heart wasn't in that office anymore. It was somewhere out there, with her. For years he had chased success to fill the emptiness she left behind, only to realize now that the real treasure had slipped through his fingers long ago. He closed his laptop and walked out, ignoring the confused glances of his staff. His car cut through the city, but the closer he got to the address he had found, the harder his heart pounded. When he finally arrived, it wasn't a mansion or a glass tower. It was a small community center painted in soft colors, laughter spilling from its windows. Through the glass doors he saw her. Maya was kneeling beside a group of children, her hair falling softly over her shoulder, her smile warm enough to light the room. The 3 boys sat near her, helping another child paint. Ethan froze. They looked even more like him up close. One had his sharp jawline, another his curious eyes. He wanted to step forward to speak, but fear held him still. What could he say after all this time? Ethan stood outside the glass doors for what felt like hours, unable to move. Every moment felt like a lifetime he had already lost. He watched her from a distance. The way she laughed with the children, the way she comforted a crying boy, the patience in her voice. She had become everything he once pretended he didn't need. When she finally looked up, their eyes met through the glass. Time froze. Maya's smile faded as recognition struck her. The brush slipped from her hand, and for a heartbeat, neither of them breathed. Slowly she stood, her body tense, guarded. Ethan pushed open the door, the sound of it startling the quiet room. The children turned, curious, but Maya's gaze never left his. He tried to speak, but his throat tightened, words trapped by guilt. "Maya," he finally whispered, and just hearing her name again made his chest ache. She didn't answer. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were full of the storm she had weathered alone. The boys glanced at her, sensing something unusual. One of them, brave and bright-eyed, tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, who is he?" The word Mom hit him harder than any truth. Maya gently placed a hand on her son's shoulder and said softly, "Just someone who used to know me." But deep inside, she knew this moment would change everything again. Maya's heart pounded as she stood in front of Ethan. The man who had once broken her into pieces and now stood before her, looking like the one falling apart. The children's laughter slowly faded into the background as tension filled the air. Ethan's eyes softened when they met hers, no longer cold, no longer proud, just full of pain and realization. "Maya, I didn't know," he said quietly, his voice trembling in a way she had never heard before. She looked at him steadily, her expression calm but her heart racing. "You never asked," she replied, her words gentle yet heavy. He stepped closer, tears threatening to surface. "They're mine." "Aren't they?" Maya hesitated, then nodded once. The truth hung between them, powerful and raw. Ethan sank to his knees, staring at the 3 little boys who were now peeking curiously from behind their mother. One of them took a step forward, smiling without fear, and handed Ethan a crayon drawing of a family, 3 boys and a woman. No father. Ethan's chest tightened as he whispered, "I took myself out of this picture." Maya looked at him, eyes glistening. "You can't rewrite the past, Ethan. But you can choose what kind of man you'll be from this moment on." And for the first time, he truly understood what love meant, something no empire could ever buy back.